In the far west of the Commonwealth, we can come across a strange sight. A small bunker sits silently, its strong walls having withstood the nuclear fire. But, looking closer, it seems the bombs were not the only things the inhabitants of this place had to worry about. Welcome to Oddities, a show where we take a look at locations in games to find details, moments, and minutiae we just think are interesting. So grab yourself a tea or a coffee and sit back as we explore together. Today we're here at the Boston Mayoral shelter. Positioned between Sanctuary and the glowing sea, you might come across this dungeon as you make your way down to find Virgil. It would be a fairly secure place, if it weren't for this excavator that has winched the door from its hinges. The assailant hangs from the driver's compartment, perhaps having been shot by the military or the mayor's security team. Some trees have fallen, covering the bunker with their roots as the centuries passed. I wonder if this skeleton in the entryway was trampled by the crowd trying to get in. We can find some of them here, all having perished as they desperately clawed at the door. They managed to push through these soldiers, who probably did all they could to hold the fort, resorting to violence as the world collapsed around them. This one looks like he may have been defending from the vantage point of this window, before catching a bullet and slumping over. The lack of discarded weaponry probably means a wandering survivor plucked them up as they came through the area, either to defend themselves or to sell. It looks like the wind has been blowing through the door, carrying all kinds of rubbish, detritus, and dust that is piled in the corner here. The place slowly being buried by time. But for now, we can still unearth the mayor's crimes. There's this small building off to the side, where the entrance to the bunker is controlled remotely. If there's no way to lock from the inside, then perhaps it was always the plan to leave someone out here as the bombs fell. A sacrificial lamb, in a way. And indeed, there are 3 skeletons we can find here. Unclear if they were killed by the bombs or the mob. It appears this person attempted to find cover behind this upturned shelf, or perhaps the shelf itself was thrown by the shockwave, pinning the poor worker to the wall. This workstation appears to do a lot more than just open and close the door. Perhaps this place wasn't always the mayoral bunker, and he retrofitted an older structure to include his safe haven. Or these devices could monitor for incoming nuclear bombs or radiation, allowing the workers here to call up the mayor the instant they detected anything. The angry mob likely also had a bit of forewarning, as I'm sure it would have taken a minute to get this excavator up here. Maybe there was a news report on the mayor having fled, raising the ire of these people. Within, we're met with what looks like a storage area, probably holding food, water, medicine, and all kinds of other supplies that could allow a person to remain down here for years. There's this skeleton sitting in a cart. I wonder if the mob placed them here, in some sort of desecration of their body, or if the soldier climbed within as one last attempt to hide before the doors were broken down. There's another soldier here, alongside a skeleton wearing a dress. This was probably one of the rioters, having fallen to the mayor's security. On the wall here, we have some pipes which could be managing airflow to the bunker, pumping out carbon dioxide and keeping the place safe for human habitation. Or they could be simple gas pipes, We come to learn that the mayor spared no expense in building this place, and certainly enjoyed the conveniences of modern life. Could he make do without a gas stove? Descending, we come across more bodies, and find ourselves in this dank tunnel. It seems the bunker above connects to another through this gullet bored in the earth. I wonder how they keep moisture from seeping through and collapsing the place. Or radiation, for that matter. The pipes and foundations surrounding us are rusted and bent. Who knows how many years this place has left? In this corner, we can find a soldier who perished, fending off the dark with their lantern here. It looks as if they were about to use this stealth boy to hide as the mob barreled through. Perhaps they couldn't quite activate it in time, or they weren't trained properly in its usage, having stolen it as all hell broke loose. It definitely seems like at least some radiation is seeping through from the earth above, as we can find these glowing mushrooms, mutated by the poisoned air. Coming to this huge chamber, we can find a generator, still whirring away to keep the place lit. It doesn't have an exposed fusion core we can take, unfortunately. The brickwork of these pillars looks quite old, older than the bunker at least. Perhaps this place was once a maze of old world cellars, maybe hiding supply during Prohibition. More glowing mushrooms surround us as we enter the lower bunker. The rioters perhaps damaging any radiation shielding this place once had. As we enter the lower bunker, a laser turret begins to fire upon us. It seems like that is what led to the deaths of these rioters here. With the door positioned like this, perhaps they ripped it off its hinges, using it as a shield to defend against the laser fire. But the turret's firepower must have proved too much. This terminal, just beyond the security gate, controls the turrets. A soldier must have activated them as they saw the mob coming down from the tunnel. This position must have been staffed quite regularly, as we can find some food scraps in this upturned bin, or trash, as they'd say in the Commonwealth. There's some cigarettes too. You can imagine the guard here taking a drag as they played some games on the terminal, waiting for the fateful day they'd actually have to do anything. I'm sure this attack wasn't in the job description. Continuing on, we can find another storage room, and an elevator, which can take us further underground. Exiting the elevator, we can see a shift in the air, a mirage as gas pushes the oxygen about. Clearly, there's some kind of leak, certainly not compatible with life. Good thing the sole survivor seems to have lungs of steel. There's more supplies and another generator. Perhaps they have a few backups, in case one generator should fail. With the tools laying about, I wonder if this place housed materials for repair, should any part of the bunker fail. I wonder how many staff the mayor actually employed down here. There's something of a weapons locker, once manned by security personnel, who could unlock it with this terminal. Inside we have Radex, Radaway, ammunition and weapons. Perhaps a survival cache for whenever the inhabitants decided it was time to leave, or simply stored for security purposes, should the worst occur. It doesn't look like it was open during the riot. I wonder why. Perhaps there was no one here to man it, or there just simply wasn't enough time. It seems like someone gave up on plunging this toilet, ripping the whole thing off the wall instead. And workplace health and safety would have a field day down here, for the fire extinguisher has been replaced with a whiskey bottle. Probably don't want to pour that on a flame. Coming down some more stairs, we arrive at the actual living quarters themselves. It looks as if they would have had a guard sitting in this chair here, signing staff and personnel in and out as they came and went, keeping tabs on every mouth to feed. I'm not sure if their clipboard would have done much against the angry mob. Entering the complex actual, we find it decorated with this cozy wallpaper, now chipped and torn over time. This was once a dining area, where the family could have their meals. It's a fairly standard kitchen setup, but the pantry behind is huge. 2 rooms of countless supplies. I wonder if the mayor's family planned on cooking their own meals, or if they would employ a private chef who would be lucky enough to bunk down here with them. There is a corpse lodged all the way in the back here, next to a suitcase. In the suitcase, we can find a safe key. We do learn that the mayor left the key with one of his attendants. This must have been them. Did they plan on sleeping back here? In the living room, we can find one of the couches upturned, creating something of a barrier someone could hide behind as the rioters break through. Unclear as to why this small table was placed atop. There's an empty beer bottle on the couch. Someone must have been lounging and watching a film as the bombs dropped. In the next room, we can find a fireplace. I wonder how they funneled the smoke. Perhaps the flue leads to one of the pipes we found earlier, which pumps the smoke elsewhere. Interestingly, the doors leading downward have been ripped open. It seems the mob managed to get all the way down here. The crowd must have been huge if they were able to get a few past the turrets. It looks like they were going room to room, pulling open the doors in their furious search for the mayor and his family. This was the mayor's bedroom, where he and his wife slept. They must have had a newborn, for there's also a cot in here. It's fallen to the ground. Maybe the mayor's wife rushed in here to grab her baby, desperately trying to save her children as the attackers entered. It seems like either the mayor or his wife enjoyed comic books, for we can find an issue of Astoundingly Awesome Tales on their bedside. This one lets us regenerate 1 health point per minute, which is one of the buffs of all time. They had their own safe in here, which hides money, ammunition, and weapons, should they need them in a pinch. It seems the mayor's wife chose to flee, rather than to stay and combat the mob. Weirdly, despite the money pumped into this place, the mayor's bed is made up of these 2 dirty mattresses. Maybe they ran out of budget, just as they were planning the bedroom. Entering the mayor's bathroom, we can find a sorry sight. A skeleton, surrounded by empty beer bottles and hiding away in the tub. A radio joining it within. I think we can infer what happened here. And our suspicion is confirmed by the tape we find on the toilet seat, titled Mayor's Goodbye.
Hi, sweetheart. I'm sorry it had to end this way. I tried to build a place where our children could live comfortably. You know, I'm a family man, and know our children come first. I'd do anything for them, even at the expense of taxpayers' money. The mob has broken through, and it's only a matter of time before they reach the lower level. As a last resort to protect our family, I give you... well, I give you myself. Take my body to the people. Tell them I died a coward. Maybe they will leave you in peace. I left the key to the safe with one of the attendants. I forget his name. Anyway, goodbye, my darling. I love you and the children so much.
A small bit of introspection in his last moments. He knows why the people are here, and why they want to see him dead. But it seems his sacrifice was in vain, for his body still remains in the bathroom, the people never having laid eyes on it. Continuing on, we can come across the children's room. It seems the mayor and his wife had 4 kids, unless one of these beds was for the baby when it grew older. They have toys and board games and whimsical wallpaper. The mayor and his wife were trying to give their children a sense of normalcy, despite the nature of their new home. The next room over is where it looks like the mayor placed all his security staff. There's 4 bunks, as well as another locked weapon cache. One must have been sitting down to a meal and a drink as they made this holotape, titled Guard Update.
Found the mayor in the tub last night. Locked the door before the missus found him. Didn't want her to see him like that. I told her he'll be back soon and not to worry. In the meantime, I told her to take the children down to the utility room in the gym and wait for the all clear. Situation's getting out of control and we're outnumbered. It's only a matter of time before this place falls into chaos.
It seems then that this guard was responsible for the people never finding the mayor's body, choosing to retain his employer's dignity out of loyalty. This guard seemed to be holding on to an ideal of order, fearing the optics of a dead mayor, despite the nature of the situation. Naivety, perhaps? Or a denial of the state of the world? The guards had their own bathroom, with a urinal right next to a toilet, for some reason. If you're already there, why not just use the toilet? Unless they were pretty comfortable with each other, trying awkwardly to avoid eye contact as they both did their business. Maybe this was the toilet that was ripped out of the wall, and the contractor just installed the new one wrong. Leaving this odd setup behind, we can come down to a locker room of sorts, where the guards or mayor's family could change into some sporting clothes to participate in some leisure activities, downing a few Nuka-Colas to get their energy up before making their way out to this indoor basketball court. You could play some music and get a game going, or set up these bases and do a spot of baseball. But as we have a look around this place and perhaps shoot a few hoops, we can hear sounds coming from the halls we just passed through. Metallic voices ring through the bunker, and we can spy the lanky frames of Institute synths. I wonder what has brought them down here. Perhaps the Institute, banking on the mayor having hoarded some old world information or data that could be useful to them. The turrets above do use the blue lasers of Institute weaponry, rather than the stereotypical red. It could be that the Institute retrofitted their own technology into them, and now uses the bunker as a safe house of sorts, where they can store synths and courses until their next mission. We can give the synths a stern talking to for interrupting our exploration, and continue into this utility area, which features workbenches and tool storage, probably to keep the gym in good nick. But in the corner, we can find another skeleton and another holotape. This one titled, "Where Are You?"
Where are you, honey? I've been told to take the children to a safe place near the gym. Are you okay? The children are scared. This whole situation is my fault. I convinced you we needed all of this stuff if the worst ever happened. Now look at what's happening. All my fault. When you come back... Oh, hold on. Looks like the little one's hungry. Shh. It's okay, baby girl. Don't cry. It's okay. Mommy's here. Listen, when you come back, let's get out of here. Let them have this place. We don't need it. Love you, honey. See you soon.
It seems the mayor's wife never learned of his fate. She too perishing down here, waiting for him. We don't find any more remains, so I wonder what became of the children. It could be Bethesda just didn't want to model that. Or maybe they got away somehow. There's a huge hole in the side of the gym, the fallen concrete exposing the rebars that hold the place together. Walking through the exposed tunnel, we begin to see more human remains, but these ones are incomplete, as if something tore them apart. And indeed, we can find that something, which leaps down from this opening to the surface. A Deathclaw has made its nest here, dragging prey down to feast upon. It's certainly a surprise should you explore the dungeon at a lower level. Downing the creature, we can have a look at its nest. Here lies a soldier, clutching their fat man and ammo box. I wonder if this was one of the bunker's guards, or if this poor guy fell through the hole. The Deathclaw later sniffing out his remains and scoring a cool shelter in the process. I wonder if the Deathclaw was the one who created this hole, sniffing out the bodies that littered the bunker. We can use this big red pipe to escape the gym. Within is crawling with synths, but we do find some more skeletons. I wonder if these were some of the rioters who thought to flank the guards through the tunnel. With that, we can begin to make our way back up. The halls we pass now filled with synths, their yellow eyes peering at us from the shadows. And that's pretty much the Boston Mayoral shelter. A cool little dungeon, featuring a fun story of a man using his influence to try and save himself and his loved ones, only to damn his family to a worse fate. Thanks for watching. As always, let us know if there's any games, moments, or particular details you'd like us to take a look at. Shout out to our members: Speed of the Earth, Patrick Connaughton 4171, Renee, Najkula, Anna A2640, Thane Krios 8, and Nathan Armstrong 6085. Thank you all so much for your support. Subscribe for more oddities, odysseys, observations, open roads, opinions, and live streams. And we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.